VLSos here. This is a video lesson, circles and pi. Pi spelled Pi, the name of a very special number that comes from the geometry of circles. We're going to define a circle. A circle is the set of all points that are a fixed distance from a center point. In our circle that I've drawn, we can imagine there being a point that'll serve as the circle's center. We can label that point the center. This definition is a little bit unusual because a circle we call a shape, but a circle is a very different nature than the shapes that we're used to. A circle does not have sides and vertices. In most other shapes, vertices are the points where the sides connect. Sides are straight lines. They have a certain distance. A circle doesn't have vertices along the edge of the circle, though there is a point that we call the center of the circle. The center is not a part of the set of points that make the circle. And a circle's edge is curved. It's not a straight line, it's not a side. So we have an unusual definition for a circle. The fixed distance from the center to any point on the edge, we have a special name for that fixed distance. We call it the circle's radius. And a radius is often abbreviated with the letter R. We use the measure of the circle's radius a lot in our calculations and formulas. Any point along this circle will be the same radius distance from the center. So we can think of the circle as all the possible locations that are that radius distance from the center point. A couple more things to label in a circle. The distance across the circle, I could draw an example of. From one point to another point on the circle is called a chord of the circle. Most people are familiar with the word diameter. A diameter is a very specific chord, a very specific distance from one side to the other. The distance that goes through the circle's center is called the circle's diameter. And we use this measure very often in calculations. We will often give it the letter D to stand for the diameter of the circle. I have a paper clip that I've straightened out, and I'm going to use this paper clip, which is the length of the diameter of this circle, to give a demonstration. I can take this length and bend it. I won't be able to bend it exactly. So the length of the diameter, which is the length of this paper clip, has been bent. So now the paper clip is an arc, but the measure, the distance of that arc from one end to the other is the same measure as the diameter of the circle that it was made from. And I can use this, if I bent it correctly, it's imprecise, to show how far I would get around the edge of the circle if I went the same distance of the diameter of the circle. I could imagine starting at this point and traveling along the edge of the circle by the same distance as the diameter. I wouldn't get all the way around the circle. I'd get to approximately here. So this distance of this arc I could label with the same letter D because it's the same measure, though it's curved when it's on the circle. I could take the same distance, the diameter, as an arc and continue to wrap the edge of the circle. In this case, I've gone a second diameter distance. I've gone more than halfway around, but not the entire way around with two diameters. I can take a third diameter distance and continue to go along the circle's edge. A third diameter gets very close to completing the circle, but there is a little bit left over, this distance here, and this distance is known to be approximately 0.14159. It keeps going. This decimal approximation for the remaining distance after I've gone 3 diameters around the edge of the circle, this remaining approximation will always be the same no matter how big the circle is. It's always the case that for every circle we can take the diameter of that circle and wrap it the same amount of times all the way around 3 and this extra bit, about 0.14159. That's where this special number that we call pi comes from. Pi is the way that we spell the Greek letter, and the way that we write the Greek letter is with this symbol that looks like a tilde with legs. And this number pi is the exact number of times the diameter of a circle wraps around its edge. This is a reliable geometric truth. And this number, because it comes from the fundamental geometry of a circle, is very useful. We use the symbol pi in our mathematics to represent the exact number of times that you can wrap a diameter around the edge of a circle. But its approximate value of 3.142 helps us convert that symbol into a number for our calculations if we want our calculations to be approximate numbers. And very long ago, the Egyptians had some understanding of this number, but they used the fraction 22 divided by 7 to represent this value pi. 22 sevenths as a fraction is very close to the approximation of pi. We will use this number in future lessons very soon.